We're watching shares of AMD, the chip maker, popping today after unveiling its new AI chip with an accelerator that can speed processing for technology like ChatGPT. It comes as Reuters reports that Amazon's AWS could be using AMD's new AI chip. Let's bring in Vinh, KeyBanc Capital Markets Equity Research Analyst, to discuss this. Welcome to the show here. So now, obviously, this is something that AWS said they were considering, according to Reuters. But when you do have a flagship customer potentially in the works like Amazon, how much of a game changer is this?
This is pretty significant. AWS is already a strong partner for AMD to begin with, so it would be no surprise if they, along with the other major hyperscalers, would look to adopt MI300 going forward for generative AI.
So then what would be the selling point for AMD versus, say, picking Nvidia, especially for AWS?
I think right now the market, and we've seen this historically multiple times, is just looking for kind of a second source alternative. Right now, Nvidia's market share in AI and GPU data center is just incredibly dominant, right? They probably have close to 95% plus market share. And as a result of that, they're able to basically dictate whatever pricing they want. And I think the market is always looking for a second source alternative, just so that there's a little bit more balanced pricing and economics in the market.
And of course, everyone's really been looking for what would be the answer to Nvidia's H100 GPU. So now that we have the MI300X out from AMD, from what you've heard, especially from AMD's projections at the event, how do their offerings actually stack up, though?
I think AMD's MI300X is going to be much more competitive on the inferencing side, right? I think they've got a power efficiency advantage there. On the training front, I think Nvidia still has a much more better performance chip, but I do think that AMD is going to be competitive on the training front. But there is such a significant opportunity in generative AI across both inferencing and training that there's more opportunities for both vendors in this space.
And we know that AMD also talked about its AI accelerator outlook, its TAM, or its total addressable market. Now, it now has projections of $150 billion plus for 2027 versus $64 billion that it had for 2025 and just $30 billion for 2023. What do you make of the projections here?
I think it's a pretty reasonable projection, right? Obviously, a lot has changed in the industry over the last 6 months. But 150 billion seems like a reasonable assumption to us. It implies kind of a north of a 50% plus CAGR, and it's a big number. And if you look at AMD, they don't have to gain much market share there for it to really meaningfully move the needle for them.
And in terms of the data center advantage here, how does that play into sort of the AI chip space?
The data center advantage, for AMD is, there's a number of factors there, right? So they're already well entrenched with all the major hyperscalers right now. AWS, Microsoft, Google, Meta are all already using kind of AMD server CPUs right now, right? So they're already strong partners with them. If you look at the major framework vendors for AI, such as like a PyTorch and a Hugging Face, who were both at the event yesterday. There's a big push in the industry to make these neural network AI models to be, hardware platform agnostic, right? And all of these factors only plays into, AMD's advantage, and you're likely, as a result of this, going to see increasing adoption of AMD's GPUs in the data center going forward for generative AI.
So for investors who are seeing these different names in this space, obviously you have your established brands, your Nvidias and your AMDs, but obviously a lot of people have this fear of missing out. They don't want to get left behind. How should investors approach this space? What sort of checklist should they go through in really determining which are the best companies that they should be looking at?
It's a combination of just valuation and what sort of exposure you want to have. Certainly Nvidia and AMD are at the top of our kind of AI list. But if you look at other vendors or suppliers in the chip space that have kind of emerging exposure to AI, I would also encourage investors to also consider Marvell, Broadcom, who's the main kind of ASIC supplier for Google's GPUs, as well as Monolithic Power, who's a key power management supplier into the GPU data center space.
So certainly some opportunities still to be had before these valuations keep going sky high. A big thank you there to Vinh, KeyBanc Capital Markets Equity Research Analyst. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rachelle.